COVID-19 forced us to shift our classrooms to an online setting for the remainder of the school year. But don't be fooled. Even though we're not meeting in person, we are still making a difference, doing our part to ensure a brighter future for our students. Hello and welcome to another episode of One Troy at Home. I'm your host, Thomas Butcher, and I'm back here with Adam Burns, who's joining in for the episode. Adam, how are you doing today?
Doing well, Thomas. Happy Memorial Weekend.
Yeah, we're recording this on Memorial Weekend, so I'm glad we were able to make this happen because sometimes people have other plans, but at the same time, we're all kind of stuck where we are, so look at that.
It's weird, like all these breaks and vacations, time is just shattered these days.
It's all just, life is just a staycation at this point.
Exactly. If you know what day it is, good for you.
That's why I like our weekly meeting. It helps us kind of center ourselves.
Indeed.
Grounds us. I'm glad you can make it for another one, so thanks for being here. So let's go ahead and move right along with the episode. Our guest today is a teacher in the resource room at Martell Elementary School. Welcome to the show, Clayton Lalko.
Hi, Thomas and Adam. Great to be here, and thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. We're glad you were able to fit us into your Memorial Day schedule. So thanks for being here. I wanted to start by asking, just for anyone who's not aware, who doesn't know, what is a resource room? What does it usually look like? And how have you adapted that to this distance format?
Sure, absolutely. So a resource room, or the resource room program, is a special education classroom where we look at primarily reading, math, and writing, and support the general education teacher with that student on goals and objectives in that area. So when we look at a resource room in a typical situation, really across the district in our elementary schools, but also, of course, speaking from a Martell lens, it's really a revolving door of kids where students will come in, maybe work on math goals and objectives, math problem solving, math computation in a small group, sometimes with individualized instruction, and then go back to their general education classroom for math as well. So it's I guess a supplement or an enhancement of reading, writing, and math for our students. And then I think you mentioned when we look at what's happening now, that's all happening through Zoom to the best of our ability. So we are seeing students through Zoom 6 times a week. And then when we're not working through Zoom, we are supplementing activities through Seesaw. So it's really a revolving situation, or a revolving experience where kids come in, kids come out, both in person when we're in school, and then, of course, virtually at this current moment.
Yeah, because in the classroom, you've got to be pretty flexible, in dealing with other teachers and keeping your schedule straight. I can only imagine that this has maximized since we've entered the Zoom world. Can you just walk us through like a typical day? Like what does it look like for you as a resource room teacher? I'm imagining you kind of bouncing around to all different Zooms. You got to know what's going on in potentially every different class in the building. So what's it like for you working from home on Zoom to maintain your current role?
Communication and collaboration with the general education teachers has just been, fantastic, and is really just very necessary in order for me to work with our students. So what it looks like is we see what the general education teacher is doing, and then we do the best we can to support that in a separate Zoom. So students will usually come in grade level groups or multi-grade level groups. So for example, on a Monday, we'll have students grades 1 through 3. And we all kind of start together. So we figure out what the teachers are doing. We, of course, know their IEP goals. And then we implement that through Zoom in starting with a full group and then going into breakout sessions. So for example, we'll have those, first, second, and third graders. We'll have some activity. Maybe it's reading comprehension. It also has to be flexible. It really is dependent on what the general education teachers are doing, how we're able to support that curriculum while also supporting the IEP goals and objectives.
Yes, I mean, it's incredible just what you guys probably had to put together in a few weeks' time. And to see it coming together like that. I know one of the concerns going into this was just being sure that we're going to be able to continue to reach every student as we would have on a daily basis. And sounds like you guys are doing that. I got to ask, have you seen any students really respond to this new environment? Like they almost are achieving more because of this new format?
We really have. And a matter of fact, I did a little survey just to see, students, how is online instruction going for you, and what do you like, what do you dislike? And the Zooms have been just a very positive experience. And we look at our third, fourth, and fifth graders having iPads. The accessibility is there, the interest is there because so there's really been fantastic participation, a very nice level of engagement. And it's also just been a great opportunity to not only provide academic support, but emotional, social support, working with families. I mean, we've had just a lot of positive experiences where maybe we're working on a math assignment and the student's struggling. And of course, in this current situation, I'm unable to be right there supporting with the math. So the parents jump in. So I would say between Zoom and Seesaw, both have been great, but the Zooms have really provided engagement. Students on our survey, 100% of them said they enjoy the Zooms, they enjoy the social interaction, and participation has been just great. Enthusiasm has been great, and it's been, under difficult circumstances, it's been a very positive experience.
Awesome.
This sounds like you're pretty passionate about this, so this might be a bit redundant, but what made you want to teach in the resource room? Why is this the place for you?
All students can learn how to write. All students can, of course, learn the math curriculum, but students learn differently. And I think, just kind of realizing that our students, everyone is, for lack of a better word, everyone is just incredibly smart, and they have these just, fantastic abilities, but we need to bring that out of them. And learning looks different for everyone. So I think the resource room is a great platform to bring out that learning in a different way. And that's really what drew me to the profession, is that we're going to make these kids successful, but it's going to look different, and success looks different. And that just drew me to the profession. That's what we're doing. And as of now, it's been working. So it's been great to see.
And we have resource rooms around the district, right? In every building and school. Yes.
So really across the state, across the country, but specifically in Troy, every elementary, middle, and high school has a resource room. But that does, of course, look different.
Could you talk a little bit about any of the collaboration that you've done with these other resource room teachers? I imagine that they're getting their own experiences through their workload. What have you guys talked about? What have you seen that might be a positive to perhaps even carry on with once we are back to normal, or whatever normal is going to be?
Well, we meet with the resource room teachers at the elementary level as a department quite frequently, not weekly, but just about weekly. And it's really been just a great opportunity to brainstorm and kind of figure out what everyone is doing. I think a challenge has been taking everything we do in the resource room and providing instruction while meeting IEP goals in a virtual setting. So there's a lot of great things out there. Everyone is required to do Zooms, and what do Zooms look like for students? How do we meet the needs of all students with different challenges? So those are really the conversations that we're having, and how we're doing that is through breakout rooms, through individualized planning, and just kind of collaboration and brainstorming, and working to the best of our ability through Zooms. So that's really the conversations that are occurring with our department. Moving forward, looking past this pandemic, I would assume that most of our resource room teachers will continue to incorporate some type of technology into our instruction. Maybe not necessarily a Zoom, but a Seesaw or a Schoology page, which is a great thing and something we haven't really seen in resource rooms. But I could see that being something that sticks moving forward.
Putting recent events aside, how have resource room programs changed or evolved over the last 10 years? You talked about what you'd like to see going forward, but how far have we come over these last 10 years or so on?
There's just been, huge positive gains in our resource room program. And that's really to the credit of admission and learning how to best meet the needs of students and rolling out things. So, it used to be in the past that we have students who are in the resource room classroom, and they're the resource room teachers' kids, and maybe they go into their general education classroom for a little bit, but they're really the resource room teachers' kids. And that, as we learn more and, looking, 10 years ago, that's not necessarily best practice. So now what you see is really all students learning primarily in their general education classroom, receiving that general education, rich instruction, but then receiving support from the resource room. So you really see more general ed experiences, more inclusion, and then support either in the general education classroom or with small pull-out sessions from the resource room teachers. So I would say within the past 10 years, way more inclusion, and that isn't just referring to academics, but also socially. When we see a kid who is in the general education classroom, and then maybe they're receiving a small group intervention, and they're receiving a small group resource room intervention, I mean, the learning has just really skyrocketed with inclusion.
Oh, well, this is all really good stuff. I'm so glad we got someone like you in there who's passionate about it and just committed to moving forward. And really sounds like you guys have made the best of, this crisis, as the saying goes. You took what was given to you and you really turned it around to something positive.
It's been just a change, of course, but a very positive experience under difficult circumstances.
Mr. Lalko, I appreciate you taking the time to speak to us today. Thank you so much for everything. I hope you're well, and we're wishing you the best with everything.
Well, thank you both.
Listeners, before we go, don't forget you can subscribe to TSD World Class Podcasts on your favorite podcast platform, where you'll find all kinds of content and resources. You can also connect on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you for listening, and be well.